To some exclusive NBC News reporting now, these dramatic new details about that CIA officer arrested after officials found gold bars at his home last month. Apparently, this guy also had ties to the Pentagon over the sensitive nuclear submarine program, according to multiple former U.S. officials. We're talking about the senior CIA officer, David Rush. Here he is. Mugshot here from his arrest. FBI agents had searched his home. They found like $40 million worth of gold bars. Feds say he lied about needing the gold bars for work-related expenses. If I'm not in this yet, okay, $40 million in gold bars. Now, one former U.S. official tells NBC News Rush was privy to secret maritime programs at the Pentagon, information about those programs after a top defense secretary brought him on board, defense official. His attorney and the CIA declined to comment on his role. Let me bring in Courtney Kube with the exclusive reporting. The gold bar thing was interesting from the jump. That the accusation is basically that he lied about needing all these gold bars for work. And now we're finding out that this senior CIA official apparently had links to some of these other places like the Pentagon and these sensitive programs.
Yeah, and this was more than 300 gold bars found at his house when investigators arrived there, and that was $40 million. As you mentioned, there was also another $2 million in just currency, and then somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 luxury watches, including a bunch of Rolexes. So these were all things that he claimed, David Rush, he needed as part of his job at the CIA. He was a senior officer there. In fact, he was part of the Senior Executive Service, the SES, which is among the most senior people in the civilian ranks of the intelligence agency. But what we're learning, Hallie, is that in fact he also had another potentially dangerous role or top secret role, and that was as the liaison from the CIA to the Pentagon on maritime issues, and that includes the top secret nuclear submarine program. Now, we've learned that in fact the number 2 at the Pentagon, Steve Feinberg, he's the Deputy Secretary of Defense, he was the one who played a role in getting him that job, in bringing him over to be a part of these decisions with the Pentagon on nuclear submarines. Now, Feinberg has not been accused of any wrongdoing here, but it sure makes this case, which was already fascinating, even more interesting, Hallie.
Court, it's also the timesheet fraud factor, too, right? Among all the things, but that's part of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I think the big question here is just how was it that this guy was able to request, again, tens of millions of dollars worth of gold bars and watches and then just currency. And it took so long for the CIA to sort of follow the money and figure out that he was hoarding it or keeping it at his house. And then there are a lot of questions about his background and how he was able to get to such a potentially sensitive job when it's not really clear whether all of his background actually checked out here, Hallie.
Courtney Kube, plenty to watch on that front. Thank you very much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.